Hey there. Hey, I have just been pondering some things with the Lord probably since Saturday and noticing things as I meet with people and minister to people. Been noticing that what I'm hearing a lot is people say things like, um, I'm so agitated or I am so worked up. They're not necessarily using the term "I'm offended," but that's I think the feeling behind this that Carrie, I am so worked up. I am so agitated. I am so irritated. And so as I've been pondering that, I feel that myself in the atmosphere. I've been pondering that. I really feel like the Lord has been saying several things, and I felt like He said to hop on here and share some of that. So, first of all, a lot of us have a tendency to automatically assume that is only internal, it is only inside us. The Lord showed me years ago when you're feeling things like that, a great question to ask is, Lord, show me what part of this is inside me and show me what part of this is outside of me. And let the Lord, whether He does that right in that moment or over the course of the day, He might begin to show you some of this is not necessarily originating from in you, but you are feeling it. And I would just say, this is no big revelation, that there is so much pressure in the spirit, in the atmosphere right now. And I believe a lot of that is coming up through what is happening in government and in politics in our country, but also this war going on right now between what the Lord is doing and what the enemy is doing. So, so I'm hearing that a lot. And so I've been telling people, hey, let's not assume all of that is coming from the inside of you. Let's ask the Lord that question. And then it's like, well, what is happening outside of you? Well, then, Lord, what is this? What do I do with it? Meaning, how do you want me to intercede? How do you want me to respond to that? Or do you want me to respond to that? Then whatever the Lord is revealing is inside of you. Of course, that is more simple, not necessarily easy, but simple in terms of we know that if our choices are leading us to feel those ways, that we have the gift of repentance and the Lord can begin to show us. Are there choices we are making? Are there things that we are doing that He wants to reveal? What we need to be doing. And one of those, of course, is repenting. Some of that can just be the Lord showing you, hey, Carrie, you're thinking about this in an earthly way. Let me show you how I'm thinking about this. Of course, a lot of times what's going on the inside of us might connect to other people. And the Lord might want to be prompting a conversation with us about forgiveness. And so, anyway, you get the idea there. The other thing that I felt like the Lord said, He said this to me on Saturday, is I was like, what is happening? I just feel so all this intensity. And I felt like the Lord said to me as I'm driving along, He said, I'm trying to put words to an impression I got from the Lord, that He said, not every emotion is valid where you need to process it. You need to be introspective about it. Some of the emotion that you are feeling, I just simply want you to ask me, what do you want to say about this irritability? Or what do you want to say about this? I feel judgmental, or I feel offended, or I feel anxious. And the Lord may just want to say, this is what I'm thinking. Why don't you just exchange that for this? And we do those things by faith. Sometimes we feel that emotionally right away, and sometimes we don't. But I felt it was so helpful for me when He said, Carrie, not every emotion warrants uh, having a real process, that you've got to process this through. And when He said that, of course, there was the grace for me to go, oh, this heaviness I'm feeling, I don't even need to process that. I just resist it. Meaning, I felt like the Lord immediately brought to my remembrance Isaiah 61, I have given you a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. And so I immediately was just like, you know what? I just resist this heaviness. I am not going to receive this, sit under this, process it. Lord, I'm just going to praise you. I'm going to put on that garment of praise. And I just began to thank him. And I would say within 2 or 3 minutes, I no longer felt heavy. I might have been aware of heaviness in the atmosphere, but it didn't feel like it was coming or penetrating to the inside of me. I'm so thankful. The other thing, the last thing I felt like the Lord was prompting me to share was this exercise, for lack of a better word, that he showed me back in 2018. We were remodeling our home and getting ready to sell it. We wanted to downsize. We were transitioning to, kids leaving the nest, and we knew we were moving. The Lord was calling us out of that neighborhood into a different one. And so I was sort of, the one managing that, since I work from home. And so I had these different, I had a contractor, but I had these different workers that I was also supervising. And I'm the liaison there between the family and all of these people doing construction in our home. And so where we were in the middle of this project is we were having the old popcorn, the old acoustic on the ceiling scraped off, as our home had been built in the 80s. And we were, redoing that. And that is a big thing, and that is so messy. And so, they'd already done part of the house. They were going to do the master bedroom the next day. And so, as I'm closing out, or at that morning, as I'm preparing that they're going to be there, after everybody left, I'm, doing what you do. I pull all the furniture to the center of the room. I take all the pictures off the walls. I put everything on the bed and cover it, all the furniture in the bed with old sheets that I know I'm gonna have to wash after all this acoustic stuff, drops down on them. And I'm completely ready, and it's 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m., whatever it was. And I'm waiting for the doorbell, and no one comes. And no one comes, and no one comes. And finally, I text the worker that I'm working with in this phase of the project, and he responded and said, Mrs. Shepherd, we're not coming today. We're in Dallas. We're coming tomorrow. And, I had the record of the communication. They had told me they were coming that day. They had simply, for whatever reason, their schedule had changed, their plans had changed. And I don't know who forgot to tell me, or who, was to tell me and didn't. All I knew in that moment was I was so mad. I thought to myself, it'd be one thing if I could just leave it and you'll come tomorrow. But I have to put all of this back, sleep, and then do all of this again tomorrow morning. And so the injustice of it all just hit me. I had thoughts about, man, people in this industry, they just they're not respectful of your time. I had all these thoughts, the thoughts that come. And so what came up out of me is I stood in my bedroom just feeling all of it. What came out of my mouth is, I am so frustrated. I think I even said, Lord, I am so frustrated. And this is what I heard back in my heart immediately. Are you, Carrie, are you frustrated? And you're just so mad. And I hear that, are you frustrated? And I'm like thinking to myself, of course I'm frustrated. We both know, all things. Like, I feel like I'm about to learn something. So I just suspended there for a minute. Lord, I feel frustrated. And he said, but are you frustrated? And in that moment, this download came that I feel very frustrated. I have the text telling me, I have all of my thoughts. I have all of my experiences of how many times I have, counted on people in the construction industry, and they've been late or not showed up, or they don't do what they say. I have all of this going on, and I feel it in my emotions, in my thoughts. I'm just very aware of that. And yet here's the Lord saying, are you frustrated? He didn't ask me, do you feel frustrated? He said, are you? And I knew in that moment, as I suspended with him, that he was teaching me something very, very important. And that is, I have a choice. I feel it in my soul. I even feel it in my physical body. My I don't know about my blood pressure, but my heart rate is up. I can feel all of that. But he said, are you? And I knew what he was saying is, you have a choice here of how you're going to steward your will, the truest part of you in your spirit man, are you going to align with offense, which is a spirit? Frustration's simply the door to offense. Are you going to let what you're feeling in your body, what's stirring in your soul, rule you? Are you aligning with that? Or are you going to align with, no, I am not. I feel frustrated. I feel offended, but I am not. And as I suspended and I waited on the Lord, and I'm getting this download, this lesson from him, I felt like what I heard him say is, Carrie, if you align with this frustration, you will lose all your peace and you won't be able to hear me today. And that was the game changer right there, because I thought, I know what it's like to have a day with no peace, and I cannot afford to not hear you, Lord. And so it just shored me up. You ever had the Lord say something like that to you and it just shores you up, just divides it out immediately? He is the Word. The Word does divide us out, right? Hebrews 4:12. And so in that moment, I just simply said, you're right. I am not frustrated. Now, in that moment, I'm very aware I could feel like a hypocrite, and I don't even put any stock in that whole theory anyway. What I realized is the Lord is showing me the difference right here between spirit and soul, and giving me an opportunity to lead from my spirit and steward my soul and my body in a way that is really connected to the kingdom of heaven and not this earthly kingdom. So I just felt led to share that today. That lesson has stayed with me these 6 years, as I realize what I feel does not equate with what I am. That I have a choice, and I can say I feel the frustration, but I will not align with that. And it took me about 3 or 4 minutes for me to sense that coming down. And in 15 or 20 minutes, I had so much joy. It was incredible. I probably had a better day than if they would have come and honored their word. And that's how the Lord is, right? That's James 1. Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials. And of course, they don't all resolve that quickly. But I just felt led to jump on here today and just share some thoughts as we're processing the intensity of the atmosphere and what the Lord is doing. I hope that blesses you.